Hello, me. Good morning.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. How are you?
No, don't worry, miss. I'm good, thanks.
Good, good, good. I have a question. Can you see me? Can you see my image?
No,
No.
it's a black one.
Oh, okay. I think I'm having a bit of
I mean, right now I can see like Relaciones Culturales
lag.
live.
My computer is not working. Well, the camera. I think the camera might be. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know anyone who's called Jesus Osmeyer?
It's Andrea.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Alejandro. Andrea, good morning.
Oh, hello, teacher. Good morning.
How are you guys today?
Well, we are coming from an exam,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
your proficiency.
Okay.
Yeah.
How was it?
Oh, I think everything was good so far. That's what I believe. But
All
later
right.
we will see the results.
Yes, of course. All right. Very good. I'm sorry that my camera is well, my image is all black. I think my camera or my laptop, I don't know which one, is not
Hmm.
fully working. So I'm gonna have
Hmm.
to during this weekend check what's going on.
Okay.
All right. So okay, I guess I'm gonna wait a little bit for the rest to come.
Hmm.
And we're going to finish the presentation that I have, and then team one should be the ones who present or give the presentation first. If they are not
Okay.
all here, we'll have to skip to team two. Okay.
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 All right, very good. So, last class, which was Wednesday, we pretty much discussed a little bit about this, the quote. Um, I the next part is going to be the So normally when we have to think about classroom management and classroom layout, we have to have special considerations. So normally we have this, right? The ideal teaching world says, as it says in here. We have this wonderful classroom that has this amazing light, that you have all the chairs, all the desks that you can move with no
Hmm.
problem. It's easy to be arranged, as it is in here. The equipment, the furniture, everything that you need, like the space is there and it's perfect for you. Everything is in great conditions.
Hmm.
And normally, I mean, in an ideal teaching world, probably we have 15, 20 students at the most. And that's like is what people consider, you know what? This is the ideal teaching world. This is the ideal teaching classroom for some people. Do you
Okay.
think that actually happens?
Well, I think it depends on the resources of the school you are working with.
Okay. So we are thinking about resources the school provides for us. What else do you think that having an ideal classroom or an ideal teaching world implies?
Have the necessary tools inside the classroom and don't go or asking if someone can borrow,
Okay, so
lend me.
exactly. So pretty much have everything with you, not having to go somewhere else and ask for resources or material, etc. All right. Anything else that you consider is part of the ideal world in teaching?
Well, I think that the perfect situation is to try to get the ideal classroom, but I think from my point of view, most of the time that will be not possible. So what we have to do is just to try to do our best with the one that we have so far.
Okay, good. So in this case, we're thinking about, again, we are talking about, and the key word in here is the ideal.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as you mentioned, we have to also be aware that we need to work with what we have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, again, this can be like again, this is only an example, but this can be an example of what people consider, you know what, this is the ideal classroom. We have we have enough space, we have different stations, we have different ways to arrange the students. This is one, but I'm pretty sure that we can move the chairs. We have enough light, we have enough spaces to be around. So again, this is the ideal part. Now, and here we have this, the real teaching world. So normally the furniture is heavy. Sometimes it's difficult to carry, like to move around the chairs because of the weight. It tends to make a lot of noise, all of this like moving around and standing up and all that. The furniture is not exactly new. It might not be in the best condition. I don't know if you have ever been in a classroom like that. It's not easy to move, to be moved. And the space is not the best, but maybe it can be manageable. We're talking about real teaching world, right? Real classrooms. And in here we have more than 20 students. I mean, again, if I think about real teaching, I'm going to go and think about schools from the government, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 20 plus, I'm thinking about 40 students.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the real life when we talk about teaching. And normally you see the classroom like this, right? All the rows and then the teacher in front of them. Now, what do you guys think about this? The real teaching world, all of this information, versus the ideal teaching world. What are your thoughts about this?
It's just that we can create the our ideal teaching like classroom with the
Mhm.
things that we have.
Exactly. So in this case, we're talking about, and again, I guess it goes back to what Alejandro was mentioning, that we have to work with what we have, but as you are saying, Esther, we need to make our ideal classroom. We can have something like this, even if the space is like this. Now, I'm gonna ask you to do this. I have this. It says, share your thoughts about these two types of classroom. So the one that is ideal, and then one that we know that is for sure something that is real. Which one would you prefer? Which one would you feel more comfortable in? Can you think of ways of arranging the classroom? How? Okay. And okay, apparently I'm not gonna give you any minutes. So I'm gonna give you 5-6 minutes for you guys to work in groups. Let me just hold on and see how many people do I have here. Okay, I'm gonna make groups of 3. Okay, so I'm gonna make 3 groups of 3, and it's gonna be like this. I'm gonna put Alejandro, Carol, and Dana, you 3 together. Andrea Torres, Genesis, and Ulises, you 3 together. Aster, Hassan, and Andrea Beltran is Jesus Osmeyer,
No,
right?
no, it's Beltrán del Rio. This is just not my computer.
Okay, all right. Okay, so in this case, you are going to work with Aster and Hassan, okay? I'm gonna ask you to please discuss these questions. It's your opinion. Think about these two, like the ideal teaching world and the or classroom and the real teaching world. Okay. All right. I'm gonna give you 5 minutes for you to carry on with the conversation.
Más adelante.
Oh,
Y
share your
como que
thoughts.
este hizo grupo para nosotros, de primero.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. Share your thoughts about these two types of classroom. Which one would you prefer? Which one would you feel more comfortable in? Can you think of ways of arranging the classroom and how? I think for me, my ideal classroom will be the first one. The one is where the children together working as a team. But maybe mm, get out of the breakout room.
Okay. All right. Don't worry. Let me send you back to the group. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I already sent you the invitation. Okay.
Each week. Like, for example, this week you will be working with Andrea and Ulises, and the next week you will be working with Fulanito Fulanito.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
rotating once in a while.
in the other one you do not have enough space, and the groups tends to be bigger, so they won't feel.
And there should be a different way to, I guess, to teach.
Yeah, but as sorry, as Cassandra mentioned, will be difficult for the teacher to move around and see what the others are doing. So if we have like in the future that kind of classroom, how will be able to manage that amount of students, or
Yeah.
what we have to do to
Yeah.
be like, you know, to see around or to see that what every student is doing.
Yeah. And for them to learn to actually absorb the information, because when I was in school, it was literally so many people, it was super crowded, and the teacher would just get up there and talk at us and then like expect us to like memorize it back or something. I don't know. It was just
Or even think about that ones in the back will be the ones who doesn't like pay attention, or the ones who are like laughing or that they are doing anything but not like putting attention to the teacher. So we have to, like, for example, the first class, don't do that. Like, just see around that how the students are and say like, okay, the next day, like, we can like move like our chairs or everything, or the students to have like a better control of that.
Yeah.
I think because with the 15, 20, I don't think that we can have like that.
She's here again. Oh no,
No,
the teacher. Okay, well, meanwhile, Dana is coming again. I do remember when I was a junior high school, um, we were 40, 42, 43 students in one big size classroom, but we were more than 40. But I think what I do remember is the great control that the main teacher had over us. When he arrived to the classroom, everybody stopped making noise and paying attention to him.
Mhm.
So he has a great control. He even knew the names of each student. Even though he was not taking attendance, he knew who was absent. For example, Rodriguez didn't came today, and we saw to confirm, yeah, Rodriguez didn't came. But he had that kind of photograph inside his brain to see who were attending and who were not. So
Oh,
I don't know how he did it, but he had a great control over
Hi Marla, I'm gonna send you to. Well, no, I think we're gonna finish a conversation in the breakout room, so they are going to come back. Okay. Okay, they're coming back. Give me 1 second. All right, so you guys are back. Let me just wait for the others. Sorry about my camera. I think my computer is not working. Well, not the computer per se, but the camera. So I'm gonna have to check that during the weekend because it's all black. I don't know why. All right, everybody's coming back. Good. Okay, so just before we start with the presentations, sorry that you guys did for well, the ones that we did for that you did for homework. Um, who would like to share some of the things that you discussed with your peers, with the people from your group about these types of classrooms? I mean, it's your opinion, so you can share what you want. So it's okay. Not everybody has to speak at the same time. So
Well,
yeah,
I would like, excuse me.
yeah.
I would like to say that I prefer the ideal teaching world, like
Uh-huh.
this image. And we were talking about like the students sitting in groups of 4 or 5 students.
Okay.
They can, I don't know how to say it, like rotar.
What like to change?
Well,
Or
yeah, like we can change the classmates like
Mhm.
per week or maybe per month, and they could feel comfortable by listening others' opinions and And actually, I think that if you want to create activities in groups, it will be like quickly because they are already adding groups. Or if you want to do pair work, they also actually are next to the other person and they can work in pairs.
Okay.
So I will say that the most comfortable for me would be the ideal teaching work.
All right. Good. So ideal teaching world and making sure that you can actually change or rotate who the students are working with. So that's good. Okay.
Suyuki.
We cannot hear her.
Can you listen to me?
Right now, yeah.
Oh,
A
a
little
little.
bit.
I
Uh-huh.
don't know what's
Yeah.
going on with my laptop. So give me 1 second.
No.
What about now? Can you listen to me?
I mean, it's like barely.
All right. And now? No, the same.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna change the
There,
Oh
there.
yeah, better.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Good. So I'm gonna stay like this. I don't know what's going on with my laptop. Okay. All right. So what about the rest? Who would like to share something else about this?
We discussed that obviously the teaching the ideal teaching world will be better than the real one because in the 50-20 students we can manage we can have a manage of the classroom because they are like mm, like not a lot of students. But in the other hand, we have like a lot of students and we don't have the control of that because they're ones we were talking about that they're the ones that see like in the back and they don't do nothing. Like just laughing and everything but don't put attention to the class. And I was telling that maybe for the first day we can leave them like the way they are sitting, but during like the week or the next day we can change because to make the classroom or work with the classroom as the way we can. But we has to be like a work as a teacher and not as students, not only my job, because I have to make them feel like if I move them around, it's because I want the best, like for them to put attention to the class or be more participate or like even develop another skills like they not have enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in this case, what and I guess it goes back to or it is connected a little bit to what Genesis was mentioning. We have to make sure that when we change the students or when we make them work in pairs or in groups, we whatever activity they do is for them to develop or improve the skills that they are. If it's reading, how are we gonna do, like, okay, is it in pairs, is it in groups? If it's listening, obviously individually, but what are they going to do? Grammar, etc., etc. Everything we do has to be because it's going to enhance or improve whatever skill they are learning. Okay, very good. All right, anyone else who wants to share something about this before we start with the presentations? All right, okay. So right now we're gonna, I'm gonna stop this presentation. And all right, so we have team one. Team one, we have, let me just check it. So we have traditional roles, and then we have the interaction, atmosphere, and behavior. And team one is Andrea Torres, Carolina, and Hassan. Are you guys ready with this presentation?
Yes, Kyle, did you finish your part yesterday? Okay, yes.
Yeah. All right, so I don't know who wants to be first. Before we start, I want everybody to be paying attention, and because every time when the people who present finish, we're gonna have like a little discussion about what they presented, and they are going to be the ones who are going to share either answers or just an explanation. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So you can
Then
start, whoever wants to be first.
I'm going to share my screen.
Mm-hmm.
And you see it? Oh, can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So, hello guys, good morning. We are team 1 and we are going to explain you traditional rows. So what is the seating arrangement is part of the classroom management and is defined with the methods and strategies that you can use to teach and obviously arrange your classroom. So we have the traditional, the round table, the horse hole, the double horse hole, the groupons, and the fairy pots. Maybe you already know this. And what is traditional rows? Just a quick definition. This rows configuration, also known as the column configuration, is the most common classroom arrangement. So the traditional.
Okay, about interaction. Interaction flows from the teacher to student, student to student discussion in scarce. In traditional classroom, the interaction is occur with the student who sit in the first row along the middle of the classroom. Students in the back rows are more likely to be less engaged. As we can see like in the picture, the teacher like is just discussing with first guy that is sit like in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
It's my part. It is atmosphere. This setup complements the class structure that is around on the teacher-based instructions. So this arrangement is traditional, as you can see since the beginning of the era. The students are isolated, which makes the atmosphere in the class controlled. Everyone's attention is directed to the front, and the students are focused on independent assignments and sometimes pair work, but only with the one that is next to you.
Mm-hmm.
So my part is about behavior. The students they always find ways to keep themselves entertained. When the class is getting a little bored for them, they start talking, they start drawing, they start doing another thing less than paying attention to the class. So one way to keep these students like paying attention is to put them in front of the class. But sometimes this is not the most principal way to do it, because when they are in front, they keep talking and they keep doing other things.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, they talk. The best idea is to put them in front when the teacher can see what they are doing, and put the students around them, the ones that doesn't make a lot of noise, the ones that are always quiet, and the ones that work all the day. So with this, the students that make a lot of noise, that make problems, can learn from them that they have to be quiet, they have to be paying attention to the teacher. And yeah, that's all.
All right, the ones that are in front. Okay. All right, very good. All right, thank you very much. So can you just like keep the presentation there before we kind of wrap your topic? So in this case, we have traditional roles. Are you familiar with this, like the rest of you guys, with this type of seating
Sí.
arrangement or no?
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm.
How are you familiar with this?
Because it is the most used when you are dealing with big size groups,
Okay.
and it is very very effective.
All right. So in this case, it is effective. Well, first to the first thing that you mentioned, it is the one that we normally use when we have a lot of students, right? Now you mentioned that you say, you mentioned that you say, sorry, you mentioned that it is the most effective, Alejandro. Why do you think is, well, not the most effective, but why do you say that it's effective?
Oh well, because basically the teacher has a great control over the classroom, but I think that I can see it that students are always receiving information. They are not able to be exchanging because the control is something that is always on the teacher.
Okay, so in this case, pretty much is me, teacher, speaking, and you guys or the students just pretty much listening without having this exchange, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about the rest? What do you guys think about this?
Well, when I went to high school, well, up to I get to the Relaciones Culturales, I saw a different like kind of sit-down arrangement because of my whole life I was in classroom that has these traditional rows. And um, when I was in high school, I used to sit on the back because there you were able to do another thing while the teacher was explaining something. And
Mm-hmm.
so I
Yeah.
remember that I used to do homework when the teacher was explaining a new topic. And once that the exam arrives or once that we have homework, I didn't know what to do because I was not paying attention.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So yes, we have this, for example, um, and it goes back to the behavior that Carol was mentioning. They are doing different things. So we have the students who are in the back, and they are there because they want to have a conversation with their friend, because they want to use the phone, because they have homework to do, or maybe just because they want nothing to do with the class. And then we
Mm-hmm.
have the ones who are in the middle and the ones that are in front. Normally, who are the people who sit in the front?
Intelligent
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, the people who sit in the front because they want to sit in the front are the people who want to pay attention to work. Now, in this case, what about the interaction? In this case, how is the interaction with students who sit in traditional rows?
Mm, I think that sometimes the group is divided from the ones who study, the ones who does nothing, and the ones who are like barely in both ways. It could
Okay,
be one.
Yeah.
all right. Now, imagine, you know what? You have a group of 35, 40 students, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have to sit in traditional rows, just like Andrea is sharing here in the picture. And you want them to work in groups, or you want them to work in pairs, let's say. What would be the easiest way for you to make them work in groups or in pairs? Like, what would you do if you have this 35, 40 group of students and they are all sitting in traditional rows? What would you do for them to interact and to do collaborative work?
Well, I think the first step is to be working in as a pair work before you go to the big group.
Okay. So why why in pairs and not in groups?
Because in pairs you have the opportunity to make mistakes without being watched by the big side group.
Okay. All right. So it is more personal, and you get to have
Mhm.
maybe feedback from your peer. It's
Mhm.
easier, right? And what happens if you want them to interact with other people? Like what would you do? What would you do?
Maybe we can change the spot of the students at least once a week, like to move around everywhere.
Okay. All right. So it's similar to what who was mentioning this at the beginning? Genesis, right? You were
Mm-hmm.
talking about changing the students like
Mm-hmm.
once a week, moving them around. Yes. Now, what would you do about the behavior? Again, we have 35, 40 students, and I'm maybe exaggerating a little bit, but you know what? Maybe you have 40 students and you know for sure that you have at least one group of 5 people who don't like to study, don't like to pay attention, and they don't want to work. What do you do with behavior when you are working in a traditional row type of classroom?
Send with the principal.
Send them to the principal. Okay, yeah, that would be the easiest. Now, in this case, that's the how can I say it? That would be the purpose of classroom layout, which would be the traditional rows, but also classroom management. So as teachers, we do have the control, but we have to find ways to handle this type of behavior by arranging the students' spot, as you were mentioning. We have to be moving them around, making sure to observe these people or these students and see who they work with better. Because I mean, again, sending them to the principal would be the easiest, but then our classroom management will be like on the spot, because they will be like the principal can be like, so where is your classroom management? Like, what are you doing for them not to behave like this, right? So we have to think about them, like in this case, the students' behavior has to be also in our mind when we are planning the layout and when we are planning the activities, because I know that if Genesis and Andrea, both of them are the ones who, you know what, start like to cause like all of these riots, and they like to make sure everyone in the classroom starts laughing, then is it okay for me to put them together? No. So what am I going to do to separate them far away from each other? But what I can think of in this case is, or what I can tell you, unfortunately, traditional roles, when we are thinking about traditional school, elementary, middle school, even high school, it's the normal arrangement that we have in there, but we have to think about our ideal seating arrangement, as Astra was saying. I can have this classroom, but still make sure that that my students are getting a benefit from it. Okay, but we're gonna continue talking about this in the following classes. Andrea, Hassan, and Carol, is there anything that you want to share? Anything else that you want to share about this?
No, for my part, I don't think so.
Okay, Hassan
Nope.
and Carol.
Nope.
All
No,
right.
I think yeah, it's everything. I would say like about interaction, like the most of the time, like it goes from the student that sit like in front,
Mhm.
sometimes like in the middle, but student that are like in the back, they are like less engaged in the classroom.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that that would be one of the key words, engage. If the class or if the students are engaged, even if they are in the back, they are going to be paying attention and they are going to be working. So the key word always is going to be engage. How engaged are your students in order for them to keep participating, right? I don't know if you have seen, now that we have online classes, there is a meme that says something like, you can, when we were in the classroom, you could separate me and my friend, like moving us from different spots. But now that it's online, we can use WhatsApp to message. So, I mean, even if it's online, we still have to find a way to plan classroom management, because I can be looking at you, and you know what? I'm going to see that maybe Carol is it's having like a conversation with I don't know, Andrea, because both of them are looking at whatever they are doing, something else. So again, it's all classroom management. I'm not saying that you guys are having a conversation with each other, but I mean, it is part of it. So we need to think about all of those things. All right. Is there anything you want to add about traditional roles, everyone? I think I'm gonna let you go like a couple of minutes early because it's almost 9:40. So, all right. So for now, I'm gonna let you go. Again, I don't think we're gonna have time to check the other presentation. So next Wednesday, we're gonna have team 2, Aster, Dana, Ulises, and Marla. And then if we have time, team 3, Andrea, Alejandro, Genesis, and Marisol. Okay. Remember, the presentations, they should be uploaded by Sunday. You don't have to like, only one person has to upload the presentation, okay? Yes?
Okay.
Alrighty, so for now that's it. Don't forget the final presentation, well, the final project, sorry, also is for Sunday if you haven't done it. And well, for now that's it. I will see you, hopefully you will see me on Wednesday now that my camera is working. I don't know what's going on. Okay, have a wonderful day and a wonderful weekend.
Thank you, Miss.
Okay, thank you,
All right,
teacher.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.